View. John, another piece of Eagle news. Not really Eagle news, and you probably won't be a fan of this one, but I did see it, and I felt like I should bring it up here on Birds 365. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is open to a return to Philadelphia. I think he told somebody this on a live stream. John, you interested in bringing C.J. Gardner-Johnson back?
And I'd love to see it. I don't think
half the price of Reed Blankenship. Are you in or not?
I would love to see it for selfish reasons, but I don't think the Eagles would be interested. Yeah, so
they could continue the trend. When CJ's here, they go to the bowl, and when he's not here, they have a crash.
Well, that's how CJ would frame it.
And yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But remember, if you got CJ and Drew Mukuba lining up, you don't have the traffic cop.
No.
No, I don't think the Eagles would be interested in running down that route again. But I think CJ's got to be open to everybody at this stage of the game. He is a good player. And why he's bounced around the league so much, I don't know.
Well, I think it is partly what we talk about. I mean, I think he's a little bit of a headache, and teams don't, the juice.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's clear. And I don't know if he's, if that's getting home now to him, and he realizes that, but. He got traded from New Orleans, which is bad enough because he was a good player there. And then he came to Philadelphia, and they made the Super Bowl, and he led the league in interceptions, even though he missed 5 games or whatever it was. And he's a tremendous playmaker. And then everybody's shocked that the Eagles didn't re-sign him. He goes to Detroit, gets hurt, comes back to Philadelphia, has 6 interceptions again. Super Bowl, as you mentioned, and then he's out. The famous "Hey buddy" call, and he goes to Houston the last couple games down there, and then he's got to go to Chicago. And through the whole time, he's a playmaker. A little bit of a freelancer, so I don't think Vic likes that. But yeah, he's high maintenance, to be kind, and I don't think the Eagles are going down that route again.
No doubt. We'll see what ends up happening. Good stuff there with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Brings me to my next topic, though, and it's right in that ballpark, John. And, Andrew Mukuba is a name that I feel like has fallen under the radar. He was a late second-round pick last year. I thought he played solid in his games. I mean, I don't think he played great, but he was a rookie player. I thought he played solid for a rookie player. And now with Reed Blankenship as a free agent, John, now I think Reed might return. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe what we talked about in the opening segment with the lack of free agent talent pushes his market up or his value on the open market up. What do you make of Andrew Mukuba, and how do you think the team perceives him moving into year number 2?
I think the team is very excited with Drew Mukuba. I think he had a very good season for a rookie. Unfortunately ended the wrong way with the injury. I just get the tibia and fibia mixed up, whichever one he injured. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the knocks. It's like he's very undersized. Could he hold up being a safety at the NFL level? And he did get hurt a couple of times, not just a serious injury. So that factors into it. But everything the Eagles said about him as a player, he showed. And very comfortable in space, very athletic, natural coverage player. I think he would have gotten better and better. But again, can he hold up long term? I think if he can hold up his body, I think he's going to be a very good player. I think that's a very positive rookie season, to say the least, with the exception of the injury that shortened it. So it's a concern, but I think the Eagles aren't worried about one safety position. But they do need to make sure they have a certain style of safety next to him as a younger player. Maybe that changes as he gets more experience, but everything they said about him turned out to be true in the coverage aspect, and he's very gifted when it comes to that part of it.
No doubt, no doubt. We're going to see what ends up happening with the reason I asked that is because I wonder how much, the development of Andrew Mukuba might change their thought process on Reed Blankenship. Now I know you need two safeties. I'm not saying they're, one crosses out the other, but similar to the corner where Howie's like, hey, corner's not a weakness. We got 2 out of 3 that are pretty damn good. I wonder if they feel, all right, we can maybe take it lighter at safety, or if they're not as confident in Drew, well, we better get Reed Blankenship signed because we're going to have too much flux at that position. Does that make sense? Or how do you think they see that from it? How do you think they see it from that perspective?
Well, I think a lot of it is the number, where it comes into. If somebody overpays, they're going to walk away. But in a lot of ways, I think having a little bit of a down year helps the Eagles from that perspective. And I think as long as he comes in near 9-10 million, I think they'll bring him back. And they'll, Howie will do his magic with the void years, and it won't be nearly that against the cap. Still a young player, very important player. Vic loves him. But, I think one of the stories is going to be just how much these guys get overpaid, the guys that hit the market because of the desperation. I'm sure there's a bunch of teams that need safeties, and they say, well, this is a guy who has been a Super Bowl winning safety who's smart, and, maybe that's worth more. A lot of, Isaiah Rodgers situations going on in this year's free agency for the Eagles. Like, the Eagles believe in bringing their guys back first, especially guys they developed. But they also realize they have so many good players that they've developed, they can't keep them all. And it's already happened with Milton and Josh last year. And I think it's going to happen.
If Reed walks, John, what do you think their plan is at safety?
Well, that's, I'm sure Howie has a contingency, and probably more draft related, I would think, than free agency related, because free agency.
I don't know if I like that. I mean,
free agency is weak, man.
And you're going to go from Reed, who I know not everybody loves Reed or thinks Reed is all that great, but I mean, Reed is the guy who's the quarterback of the secondary, if you will. Reed, Vic Fangio talks about that a lot. So you're going to get rid of him and put a rookie in there? Ugh.
Well, otherwise you're gonna put in a guy who's, looking at the free agent safeties here, a guy I think is a pretty good player, who got traded to Baltimore, Alohi Gilman. He's 29. Could you get him? Maybe. Cam Curl's probably the best safety on it. He's going to get paid, so you're not going to go in that direction. And not a lot, man. It's kind of ugly out there.
That's what I mean. Like, I feel
Juan
like
Brisker, maybe you take a shot on him. He's 27. Brian Cook, you like Brian Cook? Their best case scenario would be getting Reed back.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm not even the biggest Reed guy in the world, but I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it's an ugly situation, and I know people will look at the top and Kyle Duggars, names. He's 30 years old. Harrison Smith is 37. He might go to the Hall of Fame. He's not.
Marcus Epps an option to return?
Well, sure, but I mean, that's a very low ceiling option, I would say.
Yeah.
I would think you'd want to get a little bit better. I think Cam Curl's going to get paid, and then it's kind of hit and miss. I'm sure they'll sign a veteran. They won't go with 2 young players, and they'll have that manufacturer. Sad we don't talk about Sidney Brown, but I can't imagine just that turning around. So yeah, I think the top, and Jalen Phillips to me is the top priority by far, and then Reed would be number 2, to be honest. And a lot of that has to do. I just don't think they're going to be able to keep Nakobe. So that's all factored into it. But even Nakobe, I've seen, there's a little bit more hope, but I'm like, boy, I don't. That's such a difficult conversation, because if the injuries are so concerning to others and he can't get 2 years, yeah, maybe you can get him back because he wants to be here. But then you're really stunning the development of Jihaad Campbell. Do you really want to do that?
No.
Another year where he's just not playing?
Well, Nakobe Dean's what? How old is he? Not very old. 25?
No.
Do you look for life after Baun, or is it too early to think like that?
I think it's too early to think. I don't know. Because he wasn't as good as last year.
No, I don't think that's it at all. I thought he was fine. I thought he was great last year. I mean, he wasn't as good as historic 24, but anybody with who thinks logically knows that that's not happening again. I thought he was
their best player on defense again.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I think you're right, or right there to it. But I mean, Father, you know what I mean, John? I think it's maybe the other stuff. Doesn't mean it's always right to pay a 30-year-old backer. It's already out of the Eagles, out of what the Eagles normally do when it comes to paying linebackers. I mean, you got, young players. Is it one of those things where Howie's got to have his eye on the future potentially?
Well, he's always thinking 3 years by 3-year increments. So he's always thinking about the future. The one thing about Zach is he is 29. He's going to be 30 in December, so late December. So he'll be 30 before the end of the season. So I get it, but he barely played in New Orleans. Like, there's not a lot of tread off that tire from a snap standpoint. So, he's not your typical 30-year-old who's a high-level player, who's been playing 6 seasons at the level he's been playing out for the Eagles. Like, for whatever reason, New Orleans didn't see what they should have seen, and he didn't play that much, and he came here, and now he plays every play, basically. So while he is 30, it's not, he doesn't have the typical mileage of a 30-year-old player who's going to be 30. So I think that factors into it. And, he was in my opinion, their best defensive player again for the second straight season. Was he as good?
Yeah, good.
Was he as good as 2024? No. Let's see where PFF had him, because I know he's number 1. He's number 5. Yeah. I mean, that's a fifth best. You take the 5th best linebacker in football. Yeah, I'm not thinking
like you always say, the NFL moves fast.
It moves very fast, but this is a guy who played at a super high level and then a super high level again. It's not moving fast for him right now.
No, it's not. Until it does, we don't got to worry. I think you're right. John, Spotrac puts the market value for Reed Blankenship at $7.2 million average annual. It'd be a 2-year, $14.38 million deal, so about 14.4. What do you think of that value? We've been kind of debating some of these values. We don't think they're all right on the number. What do you think of the Reed one?
Yeah, well, I think they'd sign that pretty quickly if they can get that deal. I think there's no doubt Reed Blankenship is going to be back if they can get that deal. I don't think they can get that deal, but we shall see.
Well, what do you think? What do you think Reed might get in the open market? Like if he did walk because the money was too big, what do you think it'd look like? 2 years, 20?
Yeah,
10 million a year?
I think he hits the 10 million level.
Oof.
Now,
That's gonna be too much for the Eagles. They're not going to 10. At least I don't think they are.
I don't know. I don't know. Now, if you get to 12, 13, yeah, then I think it's walk away number. But I don't know about 10. Um, I don't know.
10 for Reed. You guys in the chat or not? Anybody in? What do you think on Reed, Blankenship, Daz, and Jason? What do you guys think, Reed, Blankenship? I just think it's interesting because of the rest of the position, John. Less about Reed. I mean, that's why I just brought it up.
Well, that's part of it.
We're talking about free agency's week.
That's a big part of it.
You want to put
free agency's week
with another rookie? I don't know about that.
Vic loves him. He's the communicator. Those are all reasons.
What's your walkaway number on Reed?
12.
Ooh, it's pretty high.
Yeah, I think those numbers are way under. I just do. I mean, I just do. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. I'm sure people will bring it up if I'm wrong. You know, the cap's going from 279 to 303.5, maybe up to 305. 279 to 303.5.
It's a big jump.
Numbers should go up, not down. Now, I get it. People are going to look at it. He didn't have a great year. He didn't have a great year compared to what he was, which is true. But again, I think most of it was in coverage and most of it because he was being cautious. I think there's reasons behind it. And that's one of the things, that's one of the weaknesses when people say PFF. They generally do a good job. How I describe it is if they say somebody's playing well, they're playing well. And if they say if somebody's playing poorly, they're playing poorly. And in the case of Reed, all his negative numbers are basically all related to coverage. We're not related to run support, the little pass rush you do and Vic Fangio's, nothing else. Certainly not the communication aspect, which they have no idea. I mean, nor should they. It's basically all the coverage part of it. And I think nobody understands why that was better than the Eagles. And that's why you have these disconnects where people will say, well, people on the team will say, yeah, they don't exactly get what's going on here. And I think that's the case with Reed Blankenship. And I think that's also a selfless part of it that's also important. Because, this guy's a rookie, he was forced to play, not a lot, but he was number 9 of 88 safeties in the league. Then he became a starter year 2 from day 1 at training camp. We were all shocked. And he was 18 of 95. Then 2020, the Super Bowl, 29 of 98. Again, a little bit down, but 98, he's 20. That's pretty freaking good. And last year, 89th of 91, which was all related to coverage.
Man, why did he drop off a cliff though last year in that regard?
Because the Eagles were asking him to play it cautious, and when you play it cautious, it looks like you're getting beat.
Yeah.
And to somebody who's not entrenched on what Vic is asking him to do,
it looks like it does.
Yeah. So I think the Eagles value him more than people realize.
Well, you could say that, but the deal hasn't been put in front of him yet. Well, maybe it has, and he hasn't taken it. But you think if they valued him that much, they would have gave him the deal last year at training camp.
Again, you're assuming they didn't. Two-way street, man.
Yeah, right.
They put a deal in front of Milton Williams coming into 2024. He didn't sign it. Right? He made the right decision.
You think the organization holds grudges for that?
No. I mean,
Not like real grudges, but like when negotiating time, they people try and win, John. That's life. That's people's negotiations, whatever it is. People try and win.
Well, also understand once it gets into the season, when the Eagles, and Howie has said this pretty consistently, when the Eagles get into a season and they think they're a Super Bowl contender, and they were, I mean, they were the reigning Super Bowl champion, so obviously they're a Super Bowl contender. They do not extend people in season. It is a organizational philosophy, because they don't want, if you extend somebody and somebody else is in line for an extension, they start saying, why not me? Why not me? The natural, you also get calls from agents and what about my guy? What about, so their philosophy is no extensions in season. So once that passed, when they're a significant contender, obviously if you're not, it's not going to harm that much, but and rightly or wrongly, because it could have cost them certain players over the years, and Howie has often acknowledged that as well, but he's willing to take that hit because he thinks it's that important to keep the group together, and not single out people in those types of situations. So once you get past the season opener, and that's why I was focused on the week before. And if you remember, Reed changed agents the week before.
Yeah.
We're very close to it.
That's right.
You thought there was some.
Is it David Mulligana? Is it that agency?
I forget.
Let me look.
But
Baker and Tony Bonagora from Exclusive Sports Group. So it's listed here on Spoke.
No, I think he changed from those guys.
Oh, is that who he changed from?
Yeah,
that's listed on Spot Track still.
But anyway, I'll look it up as we go along. But that's their organizational philosophy. And it's pretty clear that Reed was betting on himself, and it probably didn't work, not like Milton, to say the least. But I do think the Eagles value him more than people who are going to, and that's the nature of being an undrafted free agent. You're always an undrafted, like nobody lets that die. Well, he's an undrafted free agent, no matter how well they play. I got the really joy to cover John Randall in his career. I mean, the guy's in the Hall of Fame. People are, he's an undrafted free agent. Yeah, it's crazy, but it is what it is, and that's part of it as well. So, I mean, you can't presume, like, I think the presumption is, well, they would have put a deal, they would have got a deal done. Like, it's a two-way street.
Yeah, right.
And nobody proved that more than Milton last year, because the Eagles were trying to sign Milton.
Not every. I will remind the players though. Not every gamble will end like Milton Williams did. Okay, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. Going to be interesting to find out. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here today. All right, we got a great Monday show. The combine is kicking off. A good few segments there that we had at the open, and now we go to the Fritz and Bianculli guest line. How about that? Big shout out to Fritz